we all like to think that we're independent, that we don't care about what other people think. We've all been there. But the truth is, there's something very unsettling about not being able to blend in. I remember the first time I felt embarrassed. Mustache Day. And this was a silly school tradition where we had to wear fake mustaches to school. And I remember in kindergarten walking to school with a fake mustache in my hand. When I walked into the classroom, all my friends were wearing realistic mustache stickers, and to young me, that was embarrassing, and I felt left out. So Mrs. Jones, the one in the photo behind me, said, "Guys, let's take photos." I started crying. But why do we feel so uncomfortable when we don't match the crowd? And this isn't just a childhood issue. Feeling left out and not being able to blend in contributes to something larger, to the fundamental way humans interact with each other. From the moment we're born through teenage life and adulthood, we're subconsciously driven to connect with each other by copying. And one way we do this, sorry. And that desire to fit in isn't just a wish, it's who we are. Every day, we instinctively seek validation, even if it's a small wave from a friend or a smile from someone across the room. Now, let's talk about chimpanzees. It's a fact that we share at least 98% of our genes with chimpanzees. And we see that in their similar hands, facial structures, bones, or even expressions. But that makes me question, why aren't we living the same lives as chimpanzees? And an obvious answer to that would be our raw intellect and our ability to innovate. But many cognitive scientists and anthropologists are rethinking that idea. And they're saying that humans survive not because we're smart, not because we're idea banks, but because we're able to copy others. We are able to build trust and social connection. Now, as Homo sapiens, a wise man, or men who think, we would think that our original ideas come from our brains. But that's not entirely true. What we're really good at is watching and learning. Psychologists Victoria Horner and Andrew Whitten experimented with knowledge and imitation in chimpanzees compared to baby toddlers. They showed each group a puzzle box with a treat inside, under two conditions. One box was opaque, and the other box was transparent. And they demonstrated how to open the box, but they added a slight twist. They tapped the box with a stick, which was an unnecessary step they didn't need. And they found that the human babies, they reproduced every action, tapping the stick even when they could see that the stick had no effect. The chimpanzees, however, only reproduced the relevant actions, and they ignored the stick when the box was transparent. And so by this, they concluded that chimpanzees were more rational than human beings when problem solving. Now, take accents, for example. When a group of people in the same region speak to each other, their accents become part of who they are individually and collectively. Or laughter. When a good joke is told and someone laughs, others start laughing too. Not because the joke was funny, maybe it was, but mostly because laughing is our way of saying, I'm here with you. We're together, sharing this moment. Some ways blending in is comfortable. There's this quiet reassurance in being among similar people, not worrying about standing out or drawing unsolicited attention. In an effort to avoid awkward moments in public, this is our default response. But there's a limit to this. So where exactly do we draw the line? There's this unspoken pressure to sacrifice our individuality to be like the others. We're constantly stuck in a cycle of following trends, buying the latest fashion deals, and even adopting the same opinions. And one way to fix this is through solitude, is through increasing the time we spend alone. Now, as a high school student, one of my biggest worries is my future. But I know I have a dream. But when someone asks me what I want to be in the future, I don't always have a clear answer. And I know I'm not alone in that. I know many of us are still searching. But during that burdensome process, we lose ourselves. And this is where the idea of solitude comes in. I find it disappointing that over the past couple years, a negative connotation has been attached to the word solitude because solitude is much different than loneliness. Solitude is the state of being physically alone, having nobody around, not interacting with anybody digitally or in person. And this contrasts heavily with the definition of loneliness. Loneliness is a negative emotion we feel, when it seems like the social world doesn't exactly match with what we want it to be. Now, human brains have this incredible function that allow us to do incredible things, such as building this room. But this skill wasn't developed alone. No. Think about it. Knowledge of how to lay bricks, fix lighting, wasn't suddenly developed by a single person. It took a group of people who learned the foundations of architecture, and another group who applied that knowledge and refined it. And over generations, this idea was refined and edited. Now, applying this to our high school life, on the most basic level, this can look like spending time alone, really thinking about our values and our future. Instead of trying to live up to unreasonable expectations, we can really pause and focus on understanding what we truly want. Solitude lets us pause, to breathe, and to ask ourselves, who do I want to be? We don't lose ourselves when we're alone. We finally find ourselves. But imitation is at the heart of being human, as theology researcher Connor Wood shares. We aren't brave. We aren't smart or independent. We're just able to perform better than any other creature on earth. We're performers. And we do that because by imitating others, we're able to build trust and social connection. Now, if I could go back in time and meet kindergarten me, I wouldn't just tell her that it's okay to be confident. I would walk into that room like we belonged, because we always did. And so do you. Thank you.